In this lesson, we're going to refine some UVs here, and we've got some problems. The biggest problems are going to be in the prop and in our wheels, such as they are. Now, you'll notice when you rotate around, you'll see some seams that are kind of ugly, and especially in the back of the rudder. Now, we are going to deal with that in Mudbox, interestingly enough, and Mudbox can do a really good job with this. What we need to do now, though, is let's correct some UV seams. Doing this, changing these is going to be a little tougher to correct. So I'm going to bring up my UV texture editor, and I can see the problem is that these UVs are basically wrong, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and remap these. And to remap them, I'll click on both of these, and actually what I'll do is I will just click on, I'll change this to UV, and I'll UV shell both of these. Okay, and I'll UV shell them, and then I will hold down my control key and convert to faces. When I do that, what I'll do next, uncheck display image, is I'm going to go ahead and planar map, like so. All right, and that'll get that. Now, what I'm going to do, just so I can change the size here, is I can increase the size of my planar manipulator, and that will shrink these two shells. So the next thing I'll do is I will go to UVs, and I'll move these over out of the way. And I'm going to use a combination of the UV texture editor and my viewport to do this. I'm going to go to edge, and I'm going to double click, and that's going to give me an edge going all the way around this shell. Doesn't look it, but it is. And I'm going to deselect all of these edges here, and then I'm going to cut that shell. So I hit the cut button, then I'm going to go to UVs, and I'll click on the backside shell, go to shell, and I'll flip these two. Pull these out like so, and we'll do this again. Double click, make sure that everything splits, and then I'm going to deselect the backside edges, and then I'll sew these two. I'll go to UV, go to shell, and now what's happened, now these are looking a little bit better. Actually, it'll look even better if I do this. Yeah, that's much better. Now the grain of the wood is working with us a little bit more. It's still a little large, but that's okay. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'll go to unfold, and I'll go ahead and unfold these. I'll pin the UV border, click apply, keep applying until these look. Undo the border, do a vertical. Yeah, there we go. And when we've done that, look at that. That's looking really sharp. Okay, so there we go. So we'll do the same thing for this piece down below. Okay, so we'll grab that, go all the way around. And I want to control click. For some reason, it's not updating here, but that looks about right. Cut, clip it. And then we'll do the same thing. I'll grab the UVs here and shell it. Move this out of the way and flip it. Repeat. Double click. So now it selects all the way around in the viewport, but not up here. That's okay. I'll just there. Once I get that selected, once the manipulator snaps between these two, chances are really good that I'm right. I've got the right selection. And now I will sew it. And go to UV. Go to shell. Now, since I've got these buttons, I might as well use them, right? And then we will unfold just like we did before. Alrighty, and there we go. So now we've redone our maps. We've done it in such a way that these look better. I still will have a seam going down the back, but again, that's something I can correct a little bit more easily. I'm going to select this and select all of my shells. I'm also, oh, I forgot about the propeller. I'm going to go to Shell and rotate this 90 degrees. And that looks about right. So we'll go back. Select, I'm getting my viewport 2 thing messed up. And so I'm going to go ahead and lay these back out and pre-scale using object with no rotation, because I've got all my rotations right. I just don't have the scales correct. There we go. That works. Now I will go to UV. Click on a UV and go to Shell. And I'm going to shrink this down. And now shrink down a little more. Select all of these. And now I'm going to pre-scale none and click apply. And that packs my UV shell a little bit better. Everything's in the right, pretty much the right spot. If I deselect, I see that my grain looks pretty good. I've got that seam, but that's okay. I'm going to deal with that. Okay, so what I've done is I've created these layouts, and the layout looks pretty good. So I'm going to select all of my geometry again, and I'm going to go back to my MIA wood, and I'm going to look at the place 2D texture. I'm going to remind myself that I've basically repeated this 2 by 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Photoshop, and I'm going to do the same thing for this texture, because what we're going to do is we're going to bring it into Mudbox. I like the look of that wood texture, so I want to repeat that, and I really can't do that easily in Mudbox, so I'm going to do it here. And to do that, I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Canvas Size. Actually, I'm going to press Command J first, then I'm going to go to Image Canvas Size. All right, and I've got pixels, 2048 by 2048. I'll do the same thing, 2048 by 2048. And double, whoops, forgot. Go to canvas size, go back to pixels, and go 2048 by 2048. And that's going to make a texture that's 4096. But that's okay. Okay. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this layer and do the same thing I did before, except the difference being, in this case, I'm not going to flip these two. I'll do it again, pull this up. Because basically all I'm doing is doing what Maya has done by making our UV placement what it is. And I'll flatten it, and then I'll change my image size back down to 2048 by 2048. Click OK. And then I'm going to do a file save as. I'm going to do a file save as because I'll do an X2, because I always like to keep my original textures whenever possible. So basically it's basically been doubling the texture size. And if I want to see that, I can go back in and change my repeat U and V to 1 and go to File and simply replace this with my higher resolution wood texture. Okay, and then that gives me the exact same look of what I had before. All right, so in this lesson, we've tweaked our UV map based on our wood texture, and in the next lesson, we are going to go and bring this into Mudbox and create some textures in Mudbox itself.